Dart and Cam Scadaboo. They really took it to RC's point to that Eagles defense on the ground. 4 rushing touchdowns, their most in a game since 2010. Their 172 rushing yards, a season high. 111 of those came before contact, to your point. Scadaboo, 3 rushing touchdowns, most by any Giants player in a game since Ahmad Bradshaw back in 2011.
Looks like Ahmad Bradshaw when he runs.
Does,
44,
right? Yeah. Here's Dart after the win.
At times there's, some negativity that's surrounding here. And, for us, some of the new guys that are coming here, we just got here, so, we don't feel like we were involved in the past. And we got a lot of winners on this team and guys who come out every single day and work their ass off to a good showing on Sundays. And, we do feel like we're a really good team. We have really good players.
Yeah, what stood out to you about this Giants team?
First off, man, they got so much riz right now, right? Like, this team has so much charisma. They are fun to watch. And then the other piece of it is, too, the most telling sound of last night's game, if you were watching with the volume on, it wasn't that Jackson Dart was coming back onto the field. It was when they booed Russell Wilson. Now, Russell Wilson is possibly a future Hall of Famer. It's not like he can't play the game. But Jackson Dart had injected so much excitement, so much energy into this team, so much belief and so much hope. And I think that's what you see in the way they play. There's a desperation in the way they strain, but a composure in the way that they execute as young football players. And when you see the way that now Cam Scadaboo and also Jackson Dart has galvanized not only this team and organization, but this city, it's inspiring to watch. And I want people to realize Darius Slayton wasn't available last night. Obviously, Malik Neighbors is on injured reserve. Lil Jordan Humphrey seemed like one of the top wide receivers last year, along with Wan'Dale Robinson, and he watched them make it work the entire night.
Yeah, involved all of those guys, Mina, or Dan. We're getting our signals crossed. Dan, can they continue to win games this way with this style of play?
With that quarterback?
Yeah.
Jackson Dart is already doing and answering the one question we ask about every franchise quarterback. Are you making people around you better? And that's what you're watching. And when I watched him last night, there's glimpses of early Josh Allen, early Lamar Jackson, Baker Mayfield. I'm not saying he's those guys or going to become them. But when you watch him move in the pocket and you watch some of the playmaking with his legs, there is a part of me that goes, he probably doesn't necessarily know what he's looking at right now. Like, he doesn't see the pressure, he doesn't see the coverage rotation. There might be a guy open, but goodness gracious, he's finding a way to make a play. And this is like early Josh Allen in his career where you're like, can you run around that much? Can you make another play with your legs for that offense? That's Lamar Jackson early in his career. Didn't necessarily see it perfectly, but the play result was a good thing. And then the reason I say Baker Mayfield is this. There's a fearlessness when this guy's out there. There's like, I'm not worried about what's going on. I'll reset and rip that ball to Wan'Dale Robinson over the middle, or I'll find Theo Johnson. And the reason I say, are you making everybody better? I truly, truly, truly believe when this dude walks on the field, he thinks he's the best player.
Yeah, he's got a lot of swagger.
And somehow, Lil Jordan Humphrey walked on the field last night and thought he was the best player on the field. And Theo Johnson and Scadaboo. And now this defense is playing with juice because they're looking at it and going, we got a guy.
We got a Shannon.
Yeah, that's right. They got their guy. Mina?
Yeah, a lot to like about this performance, his best so far in the NFL. One thing that I really liked was how well he threw the ball against the blitz. 9 for 13 for 99 yards. It should have been more. I actually thought his best throw of the night was like a bender to Theo Johnson that was dropped, but he absolutely ripped it. And what I love about this, guys, is you come into this game facing an Eagles defense that you really don't expect to blitz as much as they did, but Vic Fangio sent pressure on over 45% of dropbacks. So what that shows me is that Jackson Dart had a level of poise and also willingness to hunt mismatches in the face of pressure that maybe wasn't what they planned for going into this, and I think that's really impressive. The one thing I'll add, don't think they should be running him as much as they are.
Yeah, he's got to stay
that's always
healthy.
going to be part of this game. He's a great runner. He's a great scrambler.
Yeah.
I thought they went a little bit too far in this game, especially when he came back out of the 10. I was shocked to see another design carry.
The greatest compliment I can give Jackson Dart right now is that Jackson Dart is good enough to save Brian Daboll's job.
100%.
Oh, yeah, we're not talking about that today, right?
That was Brian Daboll's pick. That's the guy that he believed in. You saw him say, that's our bleeping guy when he scored that first touchdown against the Chargers. And I believe that he also believes in Brian Daboll in the same manner. Yeah. And watching those two together, the way that this has galvanized this team, it's going to be hard for them to let Brian Daboll walk out of the door with the way Jackson Dart is performing and allowing this team to perform around him.
And Joe Shane as well, the general manager. He's the youngest quarterback ever to beat a defending Super Bowl champ.
Start to dominate this football game.
A lot of people found that quite irritating. Under a minute and a half left in the half, and second and goal on the board. Cam Scatterbo. How much fun is this guy?
He's so physical when it comes to running the football against this defense. Now, one of the plays that stands out, it's third down. They kind of get a blown coverage from the Giants defensively. Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith just not able to connect.
Yeah, one of the turning points in the game for sure. And meanwhile, Scatterbo doing his thing, just keeps fighting here.
I like the fact that down on the goal line, they don't try to get too cute right now with New York. They're just hand the ball to number 44, allow him to run through people, get in the end zone.
And the gymnastics, as always, after the score. Eagles 2nd and 10 on the 15. He's trying to throw to Saquon Barkley, but is picked off by Cordell Flott.
Or all-out pressure, and Flott sits on that little out route, and it's a huge turn of events because you think Philly's going to go down, score, get right back in it. It's a massive takeaway for the Giants defense.
It had been 305 consecutive passes without a pick for him. First and goal at the 1. Once again, Scatterbo.
Yeah, there it is. The physical presence of this offense is completely revamped in a matter of a couple weeks.
Giants win 34-17. Here's Lane Johnson.
The execution isn't there. We get behind the chains. I get very predictable. At the end of the day, we got to be able to keep the defense guessing, not be predictable.
I don't get into it's predictable or pointing fingers. I think KP's doing a hell of a job, but we all got to be better, and that's just the truth. And if anybody else thinks anything different, they got to wake up.
There's always lessons to be learned in these things, and it's a lesson. We got to choose to learn from it.
All right, you heard Dano. He's with us. Mina's with us. RC is somewhere making his way after first take from New York to Bristol.
Parkway.
We're not sure exactly where he is, but he'll be here soon. Dano, maybe the Eagles aren't sure exactly where they is. Where are they? What concerns you the most?
I mean, there's a lot, but right now that's just too predictable. And when you are a gun-centric football team, 99% of the time, last night there was only really one snap underneath the center. There's tells that you're giving the defense of what more than likely is happening. I've talked about this, just the predictability of where Saquon is in alignment to Jalen Hurts. If he's a little bit behind, teams defensively are like, we're thinking run. Another opportunity, Saquon, he's behind Jalen Hurts. Those defensive players are teeing off on the run. And then when you go into the pass, because if Jalen and Saquon are hip to hip, you're thinking pass. A lot of their pass concepts are the same thing. This is early. They run that little stick and out route. A little bit later, they run that little stick and out route. Teams are now not only anticipating pass, but what kind. You go into that late third quarter drive or early fourth quarter drive on that pick, it's the fourth time they ran basically that same concept to the same side of the field, and Cordell Flott is just sitting there waiting for that pick. And I'd say this, right now there's a predictability with pre-snap what they're going to do. And then there's a predictability of post-snap what they're going to get to. And the butterfly effect is, this isn't a play-action passing football team. So they're fourth least play-action pass in the NFL. So if you're a team and you see they're in the gun, which they are all the time, you're really thinking, I'm getting a quick game pass, I'm getting an RPO, which is really the same type of RPO, or we're getting a run. We're not making the defense think about all the potential plays that you can have. Way too predictable offensively.
Yeah, Dan, Saquon Barkley is being contacted behind or at the line of scrimmage on over half of his carries, sixth highest rate in football. Last year, that was 29th. You've, I think, correctly identified some of the reasons why the run game is predictable, but I'll throw another one. Part of the reason why this gun-based run game worked in the past was Jalen Hurts himself was a threat to carry, and you would see linebackers impacted. I don't think they're concerned about him carrying the football this year. When I watch them, they are crashing down on the back, and when he does keep it, he's just not punishing them to the extent that they're creating some uncertainty. That's how, if you're a gun-based running team that runs a lot of zone like Philadelphia, you win with numbers if your quarterback's a threat. Like, I don't know, the Washington Commanders.
Correct.
But right now, the quarterback's not a threat to run the ball. I think this whole thing has to be like ripped up and redone. The run game in particular, but is what I'm talking about, because at the moment, the offensive line, there's some injuries there. Obviously, they're not getting the kind of push they did. But I think the bigger problem by far is what you are talking about, which is defense is completely keying in on Saquon Barkley and not being afraid of anything else.
Yeah, which is exactly what Lane Johnson said. I mean, he just spelled it out, like, we're too predictable. We have to mix it up. Is it realistic? Mina talked about tearing this thing kind of down to the studs. Can this be fixed quickly?
Oh, there's no doubt. This is a very well-coached football team. Sirianni and the Eagles have been here. I'd say this, though. This team is realistically 2 snaps from being 2-4. If you go back to a CeeDee Lamb drop in week 1 and a blocked field goal against the Rams, it's not just offensively that they don't necessarily look themselves. This is one of the most shocking things so far this season. Offensively, they have 47 negative plays. That means a play that goes for no yardage or less. That leads the NFL. Defensively, they've only created 22 negative plays. The Philadelphia Eagles, who pride themselves as a line of scrimmage organization, that margin of 47 to 22 is 25. That's the worst in the NFL. So we're talking about a team that right now offensively, and that's what Lane's talking about, behind the chains, too many negative plays. And then defensively, they're not kicking butt up front like they did certainly last year. We've talked about their 4-man
they
rush.
dominated Kansas City in the Super Bowl.
It can be fixed, absolutely. It's going to take some really difficult conversation. And here he is.
Yeah, the defense is less worrisome to me because it's not like a...
Sorry, Mina. He made it.
Oh, hey.
Are you
Brian?
Are you even? Do you even have your audio equipment on? How long was the drive?
4 hours.
4 hours from the city. All right, can Mina bring us in? Mina, while he's getting mic'd up with an assist from his dear friend here, turning it around in Philly, how quickly can it happen?
I think so.
Are you good?
Yeah. Hey, Ryan. I was about to talk about the defense. The defense isn't as worrisome to me as the offense, but I think they do have their own problem, which is they're just very top-heavy. Last night, they lost the 2 most important players on the defense, Jalen Carter. I guess Zach Bond I would put in that group too, but Jalen Carter, Quinion Mitchell. And you saw that there's kind of a lack of depth behind them. So, I think they'll be fine when those players get back, and then Nolan Smith at some point should help that 4-man rush. But this is not a particularly deep unit. They have some stars that they desperately need to be on the field.
All right, have you caught your breath?
Yeah, I'm good to go.
Weigh in?
I've been a little dramatic. I actually walked just from over there. I love what Mina's saying, though. I heard Dan, though. He talked about being able to create negative plays, right? And also being able to do that on both sides of the football. They don't have the people right now defensively. Like, when you look at this team without Quinion Mitchell last night, also we obviously knew that Jalen Carter was sidelined. Who's going to make the special football plays? Who's going to turn the football over? How are they going to get pressure on the quarterback? And Jackson Dart had his way. The most disappointing thing to me last night, though, was watching their defense tackle Scatterbo as the night went along. And I'm talking about starters, veterans. He brought the physicality to them. And it reminded me of 2 years ago before Vic Fangio got there, how we turned the tape on and people weren't running to the ball, right? They weren't arriving with physicality. They weren't tackling well. And we saw that last night again.
Josh Allen's feeling like a highlight reel.
What a play by Allen.
As the Bills take the ATL, but those dirty birds are ready to make some noise. And feeling Heisman heat in this QB duel, the Bears are craving sweet redemption in the spotlight, while the Commanders are feeling built for primetime. Feeling all the feels for Bills-Falcons at 7 on ESPN and Bears-Commanders at 8 on ABC. Also streaming on the all-new ESPN app.
Back on NFL Live, can you break down this highlight, Dan?
So this is a really good step up to the platform. Awareness, almost hop down, ACL almost goes, but
something fell.